Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, 5 minutes after 9 o'clock, and the weather is improving. You might not realize it, but it is. Looks like it's getting better. Jim George is in the studio to talk to you about things that are technological in nature. If you have a question for Jim about your phone, your cable, your reception for your TV, your radio, anything of that sort, give Jim a call during the course of the show. The number is 622-9622. After the show is over, there is a different number, and I think it is it 572?
No.
That's not it. Okay, what's your number?
Oh, yeah. No, it's 572-5113.
There you go. 352-572-5113.
I was daydreaming.
So how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah?
Doing good. Except it's raining. It's rained Monday. It rained Tuesday. It's raining today. It's slowing me down out there.
It's going to clear up, though.
That's fine. I love clear up.
Earlier in the week, it said that on Friday it would rain at 6 o'clock, and we said, first Friday art walk is going to be rained out. Mm-hmm. But then this morning it rained, got it out of its system, literally, and now by 6 o'clock it should be pretty nice.
Well, I know you're an early riser. How about the light show this morning?
I did see it. I drove through much of it, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was at the office by about 4:37 this morning because I had things I had to do. And the light show and the thunder, it was really nice.
Yeah, I think that too. I sometimes like when it's raining.
I do too. I just
neat.
don't want to be standing out in the thunder and the lightning.
Do you know what I always think? I always think I'm safe in my car. But now we've had like 2 stories that I remember in recent news about people who had their cars hit by lightning. I said, well, never mind. Maybe the car is not the safest place.
Well, the car can get hit by lightning. But as long as you stay in it and it has rubber tires, you're fairly safe. You're a lot safer than being under a tree or under a flagpole.
Yeah.
Trees explode when lightning hits them. They literally, because they're full of moisture.
Yeah.
They just, splinters go everywhere.
I've seen the aftermath of trees that were hit by lightning. Mm-hmm. I mean, it does look like they exploded.
Oh, yeah,
sure.
no, you can. It hurts you bad.
All right, so the pros and the cons of burying electric cables. I handed you the story.
Yeah, so I read the articles. Well, it is expensive. It's like if you want to, but it's over the long haul, over the years, it saves in outages. What their concern was flooding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's take Tennessee. Every year you have a flood along the Mississippi. So my idea, no one's ever come up with it yet or want to do, is why not install a huge, by huge I mean 10-foot, culvert, buried underground, and bring it to the different lakes, like Lake Okeechobee. And then we would never have a drought. Georgia's missing water, right? Everybody's crying for water. Just bring a culvert in and divert it to different lakes and different ponds. And then when the Mississippi starts to rise, it won't overflow. The water will be diverted as it starts to rise to a certain level to states that need fresh water. Because
that is such a simple idea that makes so much sense. Why don't they do that?
Just dig it up and put it in.
What the heck?
And like when Lake
How could they not see that idea? That's a great idea.
When Lake Okeechobee was almost dry, you could walk out a mile into Lake Okeechobee, and there would be no water. Mm-hmm, and I said, that's great topsoil. Why don't you dig all that topsoil up? Because Belglade, Clewiston, all those places need topsoil for the crops. And that would make it deeper. And then when it does fill back up, you have a nice deeper lake. No one did it. Now the lake's full, almost overflowing. And the reason it's overflowing is because when it was dead or low, trees started growing up. Now you have less capacity. Now they have signs, watch out for stumps and things like that.
Oh, okay.
They should have just dug it up. I mean, the government is so dumb sometimes.
Is it a shallow lake?
Well, it's not shallow in the sense in the center, let's say, but yes, it's a shallow lake.
Like how deep?
You can walk out in Lake Okeechobee or swim out there maybe 10 foot to 12 foot deep for a mile out offshore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, mile offshore. But, all the lakes are risen now back. They're not risen maybe to their capacity.
Do you believe that the oceans are rising? Do you believe that?
Not really. I go fishing a lot. Well, I did go fishing a lot, and I go fishing not that. But I had little landmarks of my own where I would cast where it's the same. Ain't nothing risen. Remember, evaporation takes place every day. Even in the winter, but evaporation.
The amount of water is constant, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, no matter how much water you say we have, it's the same as it was 100 years ago, 200,000 years ago. right? Because it goes up and comes back down.
Right. Remember, you cannot create or destroy matter. You can turn water into
Or energy, you mean.
gas. Yeah, if you take something and you melt it, then you have a liquid, but you haven't destroyed it. Water, if you boil it, what happens? You say it's gone, but it's evaporated. Where is it evaporated to?
I think they're this. I don't agree with this, but this is their argument. Their argument is that the ice that has gathered at the poles is melting, and when that happens, it'll cause the oceans to rise. The problem with the argument is it was made in 2002, Robin? 2002.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On the Inconvenient Truth by Al Gore.
Right.
That by the year 2012, 10 years, they said 10 years, Miami will be underwater.
Yeah.
Well, it's now 2019. It's still not underwater.
Well, I read an article the other day in NASA Tech Briefs, because they have the low orbit satellites, and it says that Greenland has had the most snowfall that it's had in.
It's going the other direction now. Yeah.
Greenland's is getting more and more and more snow. So now it's just shifted. It's going from place A to place B, but it's not disappeared.
But I think people are really aware of all that fact and everything, and now they're really, the normal people, the everyday citizens, are weighing for themselves what the politicians and some of those scientists are trying to say, which is a good thing.
This is not a political show, but Robin is right. That's what it is. They want to persuade you to do whatever they want to persuade you to do, because somebody will make more money if you do it.
Exactly.
That's what it's all about on both sides. That's what they want to do. Hey, you have a phone call.
Phone call.
Let's go to the telephone or the phone. We don't call it a telephone anymore.
No.
Just a phone. Good morning. You're on the air with Jim.
Good morning, Jim. Larry, Robin.
Hey, Sonny.
I always enjoyed my history, and in the years 800 to around 1200, the Vikings established colonies in Iceland, Greenland, and northern parts of Nova Scotia. And I did that all because in Greenland, as a matter of fact, they actually still have remnants of Viking houses and developments there. And the only reason why they were there was because from 800 to 1200, we had a real serious global warming, and it allowed the ice to melt, and they actually were able to farm and everything up in Greenland. And that's how it's got its name, because there was no snow. Everything was green. And the Vikings stayed there for about, I think, 300 years, and then they had to leave because the colder temperatures and snow and everything came back. But, I mean, this is all this talk that we hear today has happened before. I mean, look at some of the caves right here in Florida. They're full of water, right? But yet they go down there and they find skeletons of animals and people. So the people and animals especially, they don't go cave diving or exploring. They went into the caves, I guess, for refuge and whatever else. I just don't get what everybody is talking about. Right now we have a relatively warm period. And a lot of it is based on solar activity.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, you look at your weather report. I don't know the weather app that I have on my computer and stuff there tells you the UV rays in solar. And if you look at it, sometimes it could be a cloudy day and the UV exposure or radiation is high. So, we have satellites that are they're centered to stay in one spot, and they measure the radiation pouring out of the sun. And right now we're overdue for a cooling off of the sun. And I think when that happens, you'll be surprised. We might see snow again more regular in Florida here. But, the weather is the weather. And you have climate change. Thank God we have climate change. It changes every day.
Yeah, right.
I mean, otherwise you wouldn't have crops or anything growing.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just things that I remember reading, and like I said, the history on it. And the Vikings couldn't get anywhere in their longboats if they had to push them through the ice or over the ice. So how did they get to these places? How did they build these developments and stuff? And now, well, where they had the developments, it's all ice, snow, and whatever.
Uh-huh.
So it's it's our universe, it's our world, and that's nature.
Yep.
The man upstairs has got a big plan, and we just may be a little thought in the whole matter.
That's
When
right.
it comes to everything that's involved. But I mean, the people got to smarten up and start reading. They don't teach history anymore in school, and there's a lot to be said for what happened in the history if you can find it. In some instances, you can relive it. But other than that, I think we just got to try to take one day at a time and hope for the best.
That's all you can do.
Yep.
Well, you do plan. You're foolish if you don't plan, but best plans of mice and men often go asunder.
Yes.
So what can I tell you?
Yeah.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for the programming, Larry, and thank you, George, for giving us your knowledge and everything on the air.
No
Have
problem.
a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Jim, tell us the follow-up on the lady who called and had a noisy phone line.
It was just a loose wire literally outside. When the phone company came to actually check her line, they checked it from her box back to the main substation and saw that it was clear. But they didn't bother to check that the wire was actually loose right where they check it.
Oh, my gosh.
So they didn't check it into her house. They told her it must be inside your house. But the tech could have easily just taken a wrench and made one little turn on the wire.
That was the whole thing.
Right. And when I got there and checked it, it was clean going out. We checked it going out with my telephone, my telly. and it's called a butt box. And no one really knows why it's called a butt box, except technicians used to wear it on the back of their belt, and it used to slap their butt, and they called it the butt box. But anyway, it was so once I did that and we went inside, it was clear inside. And so when she asked me what I did, I said, it looks like it was just dirty connector outside. So, but anyway, it was interesting.
Was it exposed to the elements, to rain?
Well, all the outside boxes are exposed. They have lids over them. They're basically called rain tight, but they're not waterproof. Yes, sir.
You want to go phone? Okay.
Yeah.
Good morning. You're on the air with Jim.
Good morning. I was just wondering if Jim has heard anything about the magnetic poles changing. They are apparently starting to shift about 34 miles a day now, they said, and that could possibly mean that the near future of the poles shifting or swapping positions is in the near future, and that there might be, it could really do a lot of devastation to the digital world. Has he heard anything about that recently?
Well, in the magazine, NASA Tech Briefs, so NASA takes all the scientific discoveries they have, and of course they give them out free because you and I paid for them because we are the people who support the government, and people use that information to make inventions and so on and so forth. Well, part of that is the different orbiting satellites they have. So what they're basically claiming is that the poles have always shifted. There was true north, and then there was something close to true north, and so on and so forth. With GPS, the global positioning satellites have definitely helped us to know exactly where true north is, and all the mariners know exactly where true north is, because of the stars. So this is nothing new, and it's not devastating because we have a magna. Our center is liquid of the Earth. So they claim it's melted lava, that type of stuff. And so as that moves and shifts, the ions, you might say, line up differently, and you sense differently. But, you know, for us Boy Scouts, we always know where north is, so we don't have to worry about it. We did.
Okay, well, that is much relief on my end.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it.
All right.
North will always be north. All right.
Okay, bye.
Well, that's very interesting. I like that question she had.
You have another phone call. Good morning. You're on there with Jim.
Okay, everybody, good morning.
Good morning.
Earlier this week, Larry was talking about the pants pockets were getting hot because he had some batteries and some change in it. What the heck was going on?
It's true. It's true.
What are we saying?
All right. So I had these two batteries. They were in my pocket.
Yes.
And I also had a nail clipper and some coins in my pocket.
I see. Yeah.
All right. So I said to Robert, "Oh my gosh, my pocket is so hot."
Yeah.
I reached and pulled everything out, and the batteries were hot.
Yeah.
So what do you think happened?
You had shorted them with the coins.
They were just touching each
They
other.
were touching each other, and current was starting to flow and heat up. Yeah, very common.
Well, there could have been a fire, though, right?
There
If
could
Larry
have.
wouldn't have noticed
Talk
it.
about hot pants.
I'm glad I wasn't lying. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Ready for another one?
Oh, yeah.
Good morning. You're on there with Jim.
Well, it's Sonny again. I was in the Navy. We had to adjust our compasses for magnetic north and true north pretty much on a monthly settings, sometimes sooner, depending on where we were traveling. And the magnetic north and our poles do change almost on a daily basis. It's the severe change that we got to worry about. But anyway, like I said, we were always. Matter of fact, the ship had what they call degaussing cables running around the whole perimeter of the ship.
Yes.
To help neutralize and keep our compasses squared away, because we also had a gyroscopic compass, which was supposed to be more accurate, but supposed to be. That's it's anybody's guess. But anyhow, that's the only thing I can tell you is we were very careful of where our north was and keeping north accordingly, because I think, every degree is 600 miles, every minute is 60 miles, every second is 0.6 of a mile on a navigational scale. Anyway, have a great day.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. So the magnetic, aside from using it as a direction thing, does the magnetic thing, what do you call it? The magnetic of the Earth,
the flux,
the magnetic field.
The field.
Does that have anything in any way affect our electricity or our frequencies on radio? So if theoretically, if the North Pole became the South Pole and vice versa, would the radio station be no longer working? Would electricity be interfered? What would happen?
Well, they're trying to tell us, and when I say they, the evolutionists, that at one time, and it's due to happen again, north was south and south was north. I don't believe a word of it. I don't believe a word of it. North has always been north. Even if you read biblical books or Chinese literature or anything, they all talk about, like the sun rising. Well, it rises in the east. It rises in the east for everybody. If you're heading north and you get to the North Pole and you keep going, you're heading south. But if you're heading east, you're always going east.
Okay, but that's directional. I'm talking about electrical, because in the days of the Bible, we didn't have radios and electricity.
Right. No,
so does the magnetic, not magnetic atmosphere, whatever, the magnetic field of the Earth.
There's an EMF, electromagnetic force, and that's the flux that you see. But remember, the Earth wobbles, right? It spins on an axis.
I thought that was just me.
At times, it could be.
But okay, maybe a better way to ask this is, all of the rules we have associated with electricity and with transmitting and everything we have that's part of our modern world, the internet and everything, is it controlled in some way by the magnetic field of the Earth?
I would basically say definitively no, because there's ground. Ground will always be ground. Call it neutral, call it whatever you want. And then everything emanates from ground. You know, some speculate, did lightning come from the sky down, or did it go from the earth up? You know, what happened? Did the ionosphere create an opening, a gap, to allow the force to go up, or did what happened in the sky create an energy that allowed it to come down? And there's all kind of theoreticals on that. But the bottom line is current flows from positive to negative. And so now you can have negative and you can have less negative. So, and that would be a positive in that sense, just like in algebra. So the bottom line is, no, it will not affect radio or atmosphere or any of those other type, the magnetic flows or the field.
Phone line is open if you want to call 622-9622. Got about 5 minutes left. Robin was just handing me a note. Dan is down at the Sun and Fun event, and he'll be calling in about 5 minutes to give us an update on that.
So what is the actual Sun and Fun? I'm not, since I haven't.
Where?
What is it? Because my radio hasn't been working.
Okay, the best person to ask is Joe. I think what it is it's just a gathering of flight enthusiasts.
Flight.
I mean, everything from like biplanes and small little things to jets and warplanes. Yeah.
I thought it was for those who wanted to get high, you know.
They have a school, an aviation school down there, so they will be demonstrating to the students everything. If you want to be a mechanic or a pilot or work in the marketing, that type of thing. There's going to be a lot of fireworks down there. There's going to be a lot of aerial acrobatics. They've got the warbirds down there. They've got planes that are, that have like the double wings on there down there. It's a really, really fun event for all of the families.
Warbirds. I thought that was the gathering of wives.
I like that.
So what are your plans for the weekend?
Well, I was going to ask you, so you're thinking tonight might be canceled as far as First Friday?
I do not.
Oh, no. So the range is over with.
That's what it seems like, yeah.
The range
looks like about the Champion of Champion things. That's on tonight?
That's on tomorrow.
Oh, it's tonight and tomorrow, right.
Oh, it's on tonight and tomorrow.
The dinner is tonight, and the shooting is actually tomorrow. Are you going?
I was thinking about it. Yeah. I was talking.
Are you good with a gun?
Oh, no, I don't do that. I kill squirrels in my backyard. That's the extent of it. I was more concerned with the listeners knowing that there are events going on today, such as First Friday and the Champion of Champions. Did you happen to see the fireworks for the 175th anniversary of Ocala?
I did not see the fireworks, but we went to the event.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was good. You know what I liked about it the best? We met people we know. That's one of the cool things about living in a small town, right? You go to an event like that, and this person knows you, that person knows you, right? You bump into people. And a lot of people were there, according to Facebook, that we didn't bump into that we also know. But it's amazing how many people you know when you live in a small town.
Yeah, it's also amazing how people you don't know. I'll sometimes go to a large event, and I'll look around and say, isn't this something? We've been here like 40 years. And there's not a person here we know.
That is true. That happens
How is that possible?
It does happen both ways,
We just had a listener post on Facebook, and she said, Jim is one of my favorite interviews every week.
Oh, wow.
With 4 exclamation marks.
Oh, that was nice.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, there's a lot of information, a lot of disinformation out there.
For those of you who didn't hear the call last week, Jim had a phone call from a young lady, and she was having trouble with her phone line, and Jim went out there and fixed it, long story short. And that was how this show began, with that kind of information. So if you have a question about that kind of thing, you might want to call Jim since we're done with this segment at his number, 352, tell me again?
572-5113.
Okay, and that is your...
That's my cell.
Cell phone, okay.
Yeah.
Is there an office line too?
There is, 352-854-9795.
And if you can't write that down, you're driving, whatever, call us here. We'll be glad to give it to you. I believe Dan is on the phone from Sun and Fun. We'll take a 1-minute break. We'll be right back with Dan. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. A bounce back in the monthly jobs report just out from the Labor Department. The economy creating 196,000 jobs in March. The unemployment rate flat at 3.8%. President Trump heads to Calexico, California today to see some border fencing put up last year and meet with local law enforcement.
A day after the president backed off an earlier threat to shut down the border, he made a new threat.
A 25% tariff on the cars being made in Mexico coming in.
The president said he would now give Mexico a 1-year warning to deal with what he has called a crisis at the southern U.S. border.
Fox's John Decker. False hope for the family of a boy missing since his mother